Hi everyone, I'm Deanne from Newfoundland, Canada. Welcome to my Flosstube channel. We are at episode 56. This is take 4. I'm not meant to do this video today. The last time I got all the way through to the last minute and the phone rang, and I redid the exit the last minute or two, and I went to upload it, and the camera had been turned the other way the whole time because I film with the back camera because I find that it's clearer. Guess I should check. Yeah, it's one of those days. Hi. If you're new, welcome. I promise I'm not usually this bad. It's just, I don't know. If you're coming back, thanks. Let's try and get through this one. It's been a busy, hot summer, or hot for Newfoundland. The humidity some days have just been through the roof, and I get headaches with it. So, yeah. What's been going on in life? My child is turning 17 on Sunday. Part of me says, I cannot believe I have a 17-year-old, and part of me says, if you had had him a few years earlier, you could be a grandmother now. We went out for lunch yesterday to celebrate with my sisters and my mom. One of my sisters has one of her sons and his wife and grandson home, and so they'll be away the weekend out at their trailer. And her son and his family are with his in-laws this week, so she said, let's go out and have lunch for Aaron's birthday. So we went to Boston Pizza and we had a great time. Aaron was away for a week with his dad. He was with my mom for 3 nights, and I spent most of that time running errands and doing things around the house and not stitching that much. Yeah, so that's about it. We had some stress in our family, not immediate family. I don't know where anyone who lives in Canada may have heard about the fire that was near Labrador City and how they were evacuated. For those of you who aren't from Canada, you probably didn't hear about it, but we are a province of 2 lands. Newfoundland, where I live, is an island. Labrador is attached to Quebec and goes down the east coast, but north, right inland there, right between Quebec and Labrador, right up near the border is the towns of Labrador City and Wabush. There was a forest fire that was very close to to Labrador City, and Labrador City got evacuated. Wabush didn't. My aunt and uncle, the only aunt and uncle I have, or true aunt and uncle, like not great, but true aunt and uncle, my mom's brother and his wife, they live in Labrador City. Both of their children live in Labrador City. One of them has a son there. The other one, they also have a daughter in Nova Scotia, but my other cousin doesn't have any kids. But they were all, well, the town was evacuated. My aunt and uncle were actually in New Brunswick at the time on vacation, and they're actually due here tomorrow. My cousin that doesn't have any children, her and her husband and their dogs evacuated in their trailer. First going towards Goose Bay, where they stayed on property of friends, and then they went past Labrador City. Everyone was escorted by the police if they were going west, and they went to Fermat, Quebec, which is just on the other side of the border in Quebec, for a few days. My other cousin, his wife is a nurse. She's considered essential, so they couldn't evacuate. So they were in Labrador City, and their son was with his girlfriend in Wabush. The hospital is in Labrador City. The police are in Labrador City. The pharmacies, or most of the pharmacies and grocery stores and government and all that is all in Labrador City. So they had to set up temporary things in Wabush. It was kind of tense for a couple of days, but they all got let back in on Saturday. No, Monday. This is Wednesday. Yeah, Monday. So, crisis averted of the town burning, but yeah, it was intense for a couple of days for them. I don't know, my nephew and his wife have gone through in Fort McMurray a couple of times. 2016, and even this year there was a chance that they might have been evacuated. My nephew has got some bad news. Like, he has a kidney disease. He's 30. 32? I think that's right. 32 this year in November, maybe 33. He has a kidney disease and he gets kidney function tested, and he's been under 15% for 3 months in a row. So he goes on to the transplant list, which is very sad because he's very healthy. He doesn't find a thing. Didn't know he even had the disease until when they bought their first house. He had to go for a medical for insurance purposes, and that's how they discovered it. And they're expecting their second child in September. So we're hoping that, you know, he's got a twin brother, the one that's here visiting from Calgary. So we're, you know, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that he's a match. So it's a little scary. Yeah, I guess that's all of life. Sorry. It's just hard when they're halfway across the country, or more than halfway across the country, and we're here. So on to stitching, which I know you're all here for. So I have three small FFOs. They're all from Melissa at Pinker and Punkin. First up is Mary's Basket Strawberry. So I finished this one with a little help from my sister. Turned out really cute. I need to get a button or something for the top, or something to put on the top, but I keep forgetting about it. So it may never actually happen. Then we have my third house in the PNP 6 houses. Sal, this is Spring Green Salt Box, I think, or Spring Green House, one or the other. And just finished it as a pillow with some like burgundy red fabric on the back. And then I finished strawberry sheep jar. Fourth time you think I could do this in my sleep. This pillow, and then I just put some gray fabric in the back and put some chenille trim on the sides of it. So they were all fun to do. I've been working on my exchange piece. I know I told you in the last video I was doing Hello Summer. It's coming along. I'm not going to show it because I still don't know who the recipient is. I get the names on the first, so she may or may not watch, so I won't show it. Then I've got a Spirited Mandala by Ink Circles, which came from the 2011 Just Cross Stitch Halloween magazine. This one, and I know Ink Circles did do this one, like, on themselves, release it themselves after, because I know somebody was stitching on it. So there's that one, and I am stitching it 2/2 on an unknown 28 count opalescent linen, and I'm using Brin Nedle's Belle Island ore. And let me see, this corner, this is the top one. So there we are. So I made it all the way around. Actually I had frog some, found a mistake, but I fixed it and it's now square. And I continued, I did the face on here and around and there, all the way over to that circle. So there's that. So it's going along. I'm low on thread. I'm hoping. I know that when I was down a couple weeks ago, Patty said that someone else had asked for some, so she had asked Cheryl to dye some, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to get some before I run out. So then I started on the next house in the PNP exchange, and I have very little done. Basically, I found the center and stitched a couple of threads. So that's the start of Susan's summer salt packs, which I'll put a picture up of what it's supposed to look like. But I have until the end of August to maintain the 2 months per house, so I shouldn't have any trouble getting through that. I know this one is going a lot faster because everything I talked about in the last 3 tries, I'm forgetting about now. I'm really pleased that I'm keeping up with the houses. I'm not usually one to maintain timelines and deadlines and that, but I'm doing really good to get through 6 by the end of the year. What else can I say? I guess that's it. Next is my Quaker Canadian flag for the Quaker Flag Sal, hosted by Wombat Hollow Crafts and Darvania Lee Designs, and the pattern is by Vivisters on Etsy. She'll be linked below. I know her name is Vivian. I cannot think of her last name. I'm stitching this 1/1 on 28 count even weave using Sulky. The red is 1147, and I ordered another one because this one looked like I could see the plastic through the thread, so I was afraid I was going to run out. I love this. I could stitch this all day long. I just love the motifs. I'm at 8.02%, and since you've seen it, I've put 366 stitches in it, and here is where it is now. So each motif is about 500 stitches. I finished this one since you saw it last. No, sorry, this one. Finished this one since you saw it last, and I started, whatever I had left I put into this one, and that's my goal each time I pick it up, is to complete a motif, and then if I have any thread left, move on to the next one with that. Yeah, so really good. And the reason why that didn't happen this time is because I had started on this one when we flew to Toronto and didn't get very much of it done. Well, about 130 something stitches probably, because we didn't stop the whole time. Every time we got back to the hotel, I was just too tired to stitch. So those were kind of my non-full coverages. Since I saw you last, I've worked on 4 full coverages. So in random order, I stitched on Mini Sunflower by Marion Broom. This is stitched 1/1 on 25 count Daffodil. I have put in 203 stitches since you saw it last, and I'm at 61.75%. And here is where it is. And that 203 stitches just went randomly into some in the center of the larger sunflower, some in the bottom left hand corner, some ninja stitches in some of the petals, just pulling. What I did was I started taking the least number of stitches and just putting that color in wherever I could, and I have about 10 or 12 colors that I have completed, which is awesome. Then I stitched on River's Edge by Kevin Daniel, and this is stitched 1/1 on 28 count Lichen Gray. I'm stitching this from Aaron, hoping to have it finished by the time he graduates in June of next year. I have 20% done, and since you saw it last, I have 262 stitches put into it. So here is where we are with all of it. So I'm straight across it, obviously, and I think I've reached the bottom edge with those bottom few stitches. Since you saw it last, the 262 stitches went into this top corner here, and any of the like purpley gray colors in here and a few here, that's where my stitches went. There's actually a bird right here. I don't know if you can see the yellow that its beak, and up here is he's like coming in to land on the water, so his wings are out. Yep, and that is where that is. Next, I stitched on Quick Stitch Pride and Prejudice by Amy Stewart, and this is a color expansion. I don't know that I've ever said that it's a color expansion, and I don't know that I realized it was a color expansion until I went to order the Anne of Green Gables and saw that there was 2 quick stitches, and I said, oh, I want the same as what I had. And when I went back and looked in Pattern Keeper, it was a color expansion, which means there's a lot of changing of colors. So here is where it is. Oh, it's stitched 1/1 on 28 count ice blue. I have put in 307, oh, yeah, 370, no. No, 350, oh, why I have 70, 350 stitches, and it's at 12.31%. And here is where it is. And since you've seen it last, I have stitched all of that across the whole width and down the side there, and then a little bit of the pinks in there, and a little bit of pale and blue in there. So that is what I have done, and I'm actually going to continue stitching on this one today. I'm hoping to get to 13% before I switch over to something else. And finally, I stitched on Mini Warm at Home by Irina Gershimoff. And this is stitched 1/1 on 28 count ivory. I have put in 538 stitches since you saw it last, and it's at 8.01%. And let me see if I can just adjust this a little bit. So here is the whole thing that I've got stitched. And since you saw it last, the 538 stitches have gone into these lighter colors right here. And this is another one that I could stitch on every day. Sometimes people think that like monochromatic would be boring because there's no change in color really. It's just blacks, grays, and whites. But it stitches really quickly. That 500 stitches went in so fast. And that is the last piece I stitched on. So, plans and purchases. So my immediate plans are to join the Naptime Stitchers hashtag Stitch Summer Olympics on Instagram. If you don't know about that, she has a guide and a prompt for every day of the Olympics, and I've gone through my whips and I've put them in. Lots of overlap because I'm trying to cut down on my whips for the end of the year. Like I'm trying to have the least number of whips left at the end of the year. Yeah, so I'll put her hashtag down below, and hopefully you'll be able to find her on Instagram if you don't follow her already. And purchases, I guess, go along with my long-term plans, which is, if you've been watching me for a while, you know. If you're new, I'm starting 55 new things next year for my 55th birthday. just like Aaron, and I can't believe he's going to be 17. I can't believe I'm going to be 55 next year. But I had a conversation with Darlene Dion, and if you don't follow her channel, Darlene Dion Designs, you really should. She's starting 60 new things this year for her 60th birthday, and when I found out, I said to her, oh, I'm turning 55 next year. Maybe I should start 55 new things. And she said, yes, you should. And I said, okay. And that's about how the conversation went. But I'll blame her for when I get in the middle of it and say this is nuts. I have 52 things on my list, somewhere around there. I wrote down, and now I'm going back through and gathering up the things that I need for a lot of them, not all of them. They won't all be kitted up this year. And most of them will just be using the DMC equivalents because that's a lot of thread to purchase for 1 year. So I purchased my sulky and a piece of 25 count white Lugana from Millions of Stitches on Etsy. They're Canadian, and I will link them below. And I have 1, maybe 2 pieces for that. And then from Embroidery Marketplace in Edmonton, I purchased a 25 count antique white, and I have a piece in mind for that. Possibly to dye it. I'm not 100% sure. And then I went and purchased a pattern on Etsy from Fawndly. It's Fawdly, Fawndly Made. And I'll link them below. And I have this picture, and I'm not sure if it's all in the camera or not, from a photographer here in town. And he also does photo manipulation, I guess you would call it, where it's a picture of the TARDIS from Doctor Who, if you don't know. But it's on George Street in St. John's. So he took a picture of George Street and then manipulated the TARDIS in TARDIS. Oh my goodness. Should I say that? Manipulated the TARDIS into the picture. And I thought, I'd like to have a few more kind of, I guess I call them pop culture, you know, like music or movies or TV cross stitches to put on the wall around it to kind of make it into a fun little display. And so I went in on Etsy, and the first one I found, and I don't even know, I don't know if I put in Canadian pop culture or something like that, because I wanted a couple of them to be relevant to Canada. I found from Fawndly Made, the North American house hippo. And if you're Canadian, you understand why I bought that, because I love that commercial and I thought this was hilarious. But I went to, like I said, to visit Patty at Brin Nedle, and I said I wanted to stitch this, and she said, well, what size do you want it? And I said, well, 28 count or 32 count. So I went over on their wall of fabric and found, here's their card, 32 count, and it's a 12.5 by 17.5, which is plenty big for this. Actually, we'll have some left over to find something to put on it. And the colorway is Peppermint Knob. Peppermint knobs are a candy that are made by a local company here in town called Purity Factories, and they are pink and white striped, and this is the color of the fabric. Isn't it gorgeous? Oh my god, I love it. And I think that my house hippo will look gorgeous on it. Now, I didn't want the, and I guess it kind of looks like a bit of the fabric here, but I didn't want the variegated thread, that variegated on that. So I found this one down there. It's called Old Harry, and I thought it would look great for my hippo. and I can't wait for that to come up in my list of starts next year. And I know I keep buying all this stuff for all these starts, and I'm not a starter. I've told you that before. I love buying all the stuff, but I have a really hard time starting stuff. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. But I'm really itching to start on something with all this stuff I'm buying. And I'm trying to be really good and not start anything until January 1st. Look out when January comes. And since I couldn't resist their thread, I bought this one, which is Yule. And it's beautiful variegated gold. And I'm sure I will find something next year to put that in. And lastly is their white. And it's called Sprung Greenhouse. Now, if you're new and you don't know Brin Nedle, they're a local hand-dyed fabric and floss company. I'll link them below. They are owned by friends, and all of their fabrics and flosses are named for Newfoundland things. Now, I don't know what Old Harry is, except that it's a name. I must ask the next time I'm down. Next time I'm talking to Patty, I will say, what's Old Harry's significance? And I'll let you know. But Sprung Greenhouse is kind of a blip in the Newfoundland government history. In the 80s, I think it was 80s. Yeah, it was 80s. There's like a 2% chance it was 90s, but I'm pretty sure it was 80s. The Newfoundland government at the time decided to start building large greenhouses on a piece of land in Mount Pearl, which is just next door to St. John's here, and grow cucumbers to sell to the world. Needless to say, it was something that goes down in infamy, and about 10 years ago or so, they built a subdivision on the land, and my sister actually lives there right now. In a house, they built a house there in the subdivision. So, on that note, we're going to call it a day, and hopefully this fourth time I'm going to get through this and get it uploaded, and I will see you in a few weeks, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.